At level number one, people follow you because they have to. At level number two, people follow you because they want to. I can always tell in a company when people are at level number one with their overseers versus if they're level number two. Let me tell you the difference. At level number one, if you're leading people on level number one, the question people ask all the time while they're following you is, how little do I have to do and not be fired? They're looking for the least that they have to do. At level number one, I can always tell, because if I'm in a company where their leaders are not very good leaders and they're all at level number one, and if the quitting time is at 5 o'clock, you go through the offices of level number one leaders, and you go through you know what? The desk is cleared at 4:45. Yeah. In fact, at 4:45, all work is done. It's all put away. And all the people that work there have their tennis shoes on. And they're in a 3-point stance. And they're watching that clock. And at 5 o'clock, they're gone. At 5:01, every car is out of the parking lot. Because at level number one, people only follow you because they have to. At level number two, what happens? Now they like you. They want to follow you. You have a relationship with them. This is where synergy begins to build. At level number two, people will give you extra time. At 5 o'clock, if you're in the middle of a project, they're still working on the project because they like you, they like being with you, you're doing this thing together, and away you go. So at level number two, it's a wonderful level to be on because you like the people like you, and the relationship now has begun to build. I sometimes call this the second mile level. This is extra effort is at level number two. Minimal effort is at level number one. But there's a higher level than level number two. The third level of leadership is the production level. The production level. At level number three, the key word is results. At level number three, people follow you because of what you have done for the organization. At level number three, now people follow you because they look at you and they see that you've done some wonderful things for the company. In fact, they'll look at you and they'll say, oh my goodness, since they joined the company has doubled its profits, the company has increased its client base, and when you're at level number three, they talk of you in terms of great endearment because they not only like you because you're on level number two with them, but on level number three, now they say, this person's done a lot for the organization. So they follow you because of what you have produced. It's a wonderful level to be on. By the way, when you're on level number three, you're still on level number two. And you're still on level one. You're building a foundation now under your leadership. So when you get to level number three, you don't leave level two. In other words, you don't get to level number three and say, boy, am I glad that I'm off of level number two. I don't have to like people anymore. This is going to be so good. Woo! I was so tired of being nice to people. You don't leave the level, you build on the levels. So when you're on level number three, you've got level 3, 2, and 1 underneath you. Now you're building a foundation under your leadership. Now, it's at level number 3 where people follow you because of what you have done for the organization. It's at level number 3 that momentum kicks in. It's at level number 3 that all of a sudden your company, your department is absolutely, you've got what I call the big mo. You've got the big mo going for you. You've got momentum going for you, and it's a wonderful level to be on. Because let me tell you something, the best friend of a leader is momentum. Because when you have momentum as a leader, everything is exaggerated in a positive way. When you have got momentum as a leader, everybody talks about you, about how good it's going and how good you are. Can I tell you something? When you've got the big mo going for you, people think you are better than you really are. And that's a good thing. They'll say, whoa, awesome leader. Oh my, just incredible leader. Well, you're not that good. But you have momentum going for you. You see, when momentum is against you, when it's negative, can I tell you something? You're worse than people think you are. So momentum exaggerates you either to better or to worse. It exaggerates you positively or exaggerates you negatively. And let me tell you something about momentum. Momentum is the greatest problem solver in your company. If you really want to solve problems, get momentum. Momentum will solve many more problems than anything else in your organization, because momentum is a problem solver. Let me explain. A train going 55 miles an hour down a track, that train going 55 miles an hour down a track can smash through a 5-foot thick concrete steel reinforced wall and just keep on going because it has momentum. It hits that wall, smashes it, and just keeps going. The engineer looks at his buddy and said, did we hit something back there? Well, what allowed it to get through the wall? It was momentum that allowed. That same train without momentum stopped dead on its tracks. If you put a 1-inch block in front of its driving wheel, that same train can't even get started. Think about it. With momentum, a 5-foot thick concrete steel reinforced wall can be broken. Without momentum, that train can't even get started with a 1-inch problem. So when people come to me and they'll say, the problem in our organization is we got these problems, we got all these problems, and because of all these problems, we're just not having a very good year. And I just want you to know that problems are overrated and momentum is underrated. On level number 3, if you can get to level number 3, you're going to be able to knock down most of the problems in your life. In fact, I tell people all the time, their problem is not the problem. The problem is they don't know the problem's not the problem. And so the problem that is not the problem becomes a problem. Not because it is a problem, but the problem is they didn't know it wasn't a problem, so now the problem that wasn't a problem has become a problem, and now they have a problem that they didn't have if they would have known that the problem wasn't the problem. But because the problem was they didn't know the problem wasn't the problem, that now the problem that wasn't a problem has become the problem, and now they have a real problem because the problem was they didn't know the problem wasn't a problem. Some melancholy is raising their hand. Excuse me. Could you repeat that one more time? By the way, managers try to solve problems. Leaders try to create momentum. What leaders know is if you can create momentum in your organization, 90% of the problems that will ever pop up will be solved. Not because you're a great problem solver, not because you're smart. Most of the problems will be solved because you have momentum. Momentum solves problems, and managers are always trying to fix problems, and leaders are trying to create momentum. They realize that 90% of the problems you have can be fixed if you can just get on level 3. Level 3 is a wonderful level to be on. It's a wonderful level to lead people on, because if you're on this level and you're leading them on this level, it becomes absolutely amazing what you can accomplish. But there's a higher level. In fact, all of my books that I write, all of my lectures that I give and teaching, I do because my goal is to get the people to level number 4. Now, I know there are 5 levels. But all I've got to do is get you to level 4. If you can get to level 4 on your own, the people that work with you will put you on level 5. So you don't need to worry about level 5. You don't need to worry about that for several reasons. One is you're not there, so don't worry about it. Okay. My name's John. I'm your friend. Okay. Okay. Level number 4. Level number 4 is what I call the personhood level. No, it isn't. No, it isn't that. I'm sorry. It's not that at all. Okay. Excuse me. That's level 5. Okay. I'm a leader, but I have no clue. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Excuse me. I'm laughing at myself. Level 4. By the way, when you make mistakes, laugh at yourself. Everybody else is. Join them, okay? Don't just be by yourself, okay? Okay. Level number 4 is the people development level. The people development level. The key word here is reproduction. At level number 4, you're now reproducing people and reproducing leaders, and the key word is, at level 3, they follow you because of what you've done for the organization. At level number 4, they follow you because of what you have done for them. In other words, at level 3, you've changed the organization, but at level number 4, you've changed them. Now, this is an incredible level to be on. When you're on level number 3, people are saying, it's amazing what he or she has done to the department since she's been there. Everything is so much better. But when you're at level number 4, they not only talk about what you've done for the organization, you know what they'll start talking about? They'll say, let me tell you what that person has done for me. I joined this company 3.5 years ago. They began to mentor me. They began to develop me. They began to equip and train me. And I'm here to tell you, I'm a better person because of them. I'm a better leader because of them. I've learned how to lead. I've had 3 pay raises because I'm getting productive in my job. And now they're talking about you, and they're talking to you about the fact that you've not only helped the organization, you've helped them. Now, let me tell you something. At level number 4, loyalty kicks in big time. This is where they go to the mat for you. I mean, at level number 4, they say, oh my goodness, let me tell you something. I'm going to be loyal to this individual because look what they have done for me, and this is a wonderful level to be on. And what I do is I try to teach leadership in such a way that I help people learn how to develop people. So therefore, I write books on teamwork. I write books on how to, because if you can develop people, if you can raise up people, if you can find them, recruit them, raise them up, develop them into leaders, the world will be yours. Because now you're reproducing. Everything, at level 3, everything is addition. At level number 4, everything is multiplication. Why? Because at level 3, you're still having to touch everything to make it work. At level 4, the people that you have trained and developed are also teaching and touching and multiplying. And so now all of a sudden you're looking at everything and it's beginning to, it's just like, oh my goodness, I can't believe how fast we're beginning to grow. Well, what happened? Many hands make light work. Level number 4 is that level where you're developing people. I have spent my entire life at level number 4. I've spent all my life trying to develop people. In fact, my whole thing is, I at this time I just sold one company, but I own 2 companies still. And my whole thing has been, I'm going to raise up people and let them get in leadership positions, and then I'm going to give them the job. In fact, what I tell them is, I'm going to develop you and equip you, and I'm going to expect you, I'm going to work myself out of a job. I'm going to work myself out of a job. And don't worry about me. When I work myself out of this job, I'll go find another one. So don't relax, take a pill. But then what I tell people is, your job now is to work your way out of a job. In fact, here's what I tell them. If you'll train and equip people and work your way out of a job, I'll give you another job. But if you can't train and equip people and work your way out of the job you got, I'm going to take it away from you. Because what my goal in life is to help people train, develop, equip people until those people can carry on those responsibilities. Now, it's at level number 4 that you begin to train leaders. It's at level number 4 that you begin to develop a good team. It's at level number 4 that people begin to have a greater self-worth because they're getting better. Why are they getting better? Because of how you have helped them get better. You're now really adding value to people. Now, there's one more level, and then I want to do 2 or 3 thoughts about that. Then we'll take a quick break. Level number 1 is the position level. People follow you because you have certain rights. They have to. Level 2 is the relationships. Now they're following you because they like you or because they want to. Level 3 is production. The key word is results. They now are following you because of what you've done for the organization. And at level number 4, you're now developing people. The key word is reproduction, and they're following you because of what you have done for them. Now notice this. If you're on level 4, you're also with the people on level 3, 2, and 1. So you're reproducing people, you're doing good for the organization, people like you, and you have a position. Now, if you do those 4 things extremely well, one day the people, you don't do this for yourself, one day the people will put you on level 5. That level is the personhood level. And the personhood level, the key word there is respect. And at level number 5, you have helped so many people so well for so long that now you're bigger than life. And they have put you in a position of respect that you can enjoy the rest of your life. Now, as I've taught these 5 levels of leadership, let's look at them for a second. Let's look at these steps. Because if I were sitting where you are and I would be taking notes, and I would be looking at these steps, the steps. Yeah. Thank you. I know I don't have the gift of artistry, but keep it there. Okay. See, I'd be looking at these 5 levels, and I would be asking the question you should be asking yourself right now, and I would almost guarantee you, many of you are, you're asking yourself, what level am I on with the people I lead? Isn't that true? You're looking at it and say, oh, am I on level 1, or am I on level 2, or am I on level 3? And if you are here with somebody that you work with or that is your overseer, you're probably right now looking at yourself and saying, well, what level am I on with the leader? Now, what I want you to see about this is 2 or 3 things. If you ask yourself what level you're on with the people in your organization, the first thing you're going to discover is this, and see if this is not true. The first thing you're going to discover is you're not on the same level with everybody in your organization. Is that not true? Talk to me for a moment. Thank you. Thank you. In other words, if somebody just new has come into your organization or department, it's highly probable you're on level number 1. Isn't that true? You haven't had time to develop relationships with them. They don't know how good you are. They don't know what you've done for the company. You certainly haven't had any time to develop them. So for new people, you're probably on level 1. Now, hopefully for people that have been in your organization for a little bit, you've developed a relationship with. So now they like you, you like them, kumbaya time. Okay, here we go. Where are the levels? Thank you. So for some, you're on level number 2. And you're saying, okay, this is good, I'm on level number 2. You're on let's say, for example, let's say you have 10 people in your department. You're with all 10 people, you're on level number 1. But on level number 2, you may only be on level number 2 with about 7 of them. In fact, the higher you go, the less people will be on the level with you. Now, on level number 3, because some have been with you and have seen success for a while, on level number 3, you may be on that level with 5 of the 10. So, and on level number 4, maybe you've only developed 2 of them. So you're on level with 10 out of the 10. You've got 2 of them on level 4 that are with you. Now, talk to me for a moment, because this is a 3-hour lecture I'm trying to do in 30 minutes. Give me feedback. Do you understand what I'm saying here? Look at the person beside you and say, I understand what he's saying. Go ahead and tell them. Thank you. In fact, look at that person and say, and why don't you understand this at all? Okay. Now, here's what I want you to see. You're not on the same level with everybody in your department. Make sense? Yes or no? Okay, you got it. Now, here we go. Here's what I want you to see. People follow you based on what level they're on with you. So people don't follow you the same. People receive your vision or your dream based upon what level you're on. So therefore, if you get up in front of your people and say, okay, I want to talk to you about, okay, we're going to relocate and we're going to make some changes in this company. Now let me tell you something. When you say I'm going to make changes in the company, people on level number 1, they don't have much allegiance to you. They're not going to change with you. They're looking at you. They're crossing their arms saying, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. People on level number 4, they've been with you long enough. You've got a relationship with them. They've watched you be successful in the company that you've developed it. See, at level number 4, there's a lot more commitment at level number 4. There's a lot more willingness to change. So people ask me all the time, they'll say, John, I stood up in front of the same group of people on the same day in the same company, and I cast the same vision, and I got 5 different reactions. Why? It's very simple. People receive the vision based upon what level they're on with you. By the way, that's why you can't lead everybody the same. You lead people much differently on level number 1 than you do that are on level number 2. You have to know which level they're on. And so here's your exercise. In fact, this is an incredible exercise for you. I wish I had time to walk you through it, but you're the smartest crowd I've talked to today. So you can walk through it yourself. I would encourage you, I don't know, sometime this week. Don't let this week pass without doing this exercise. List the people that you lead. And ask the question, what level are they on with you? Are they a level 1 person? Are they level 4? And put names with the levels. And then look at how you're going to have to lead them. For example, the higher you go, the easier it is to lead. You don't even have to prove your leadership to people on level number 4. They've been with you for so long. They've seen you do it so well. Once you say, let's go, they just get up and say, let's go. Why did they say that? Because they've watched you. They've observed you. See, the higher you go, the easier it is to lead. So the more people you have on higher levels, the easier it is to lead them. That's why leadership in the beginning is very difficult, because you haven't established yourself. You haven't established what level that you're going to be on. How are we doing? Go back to the levels one more time. I'm almost done, but not quite. Here's what I want you to see. Let's say, with most people, you're on level number 3. There you are. Never looked better. Okay. Now, it's very possible as a leader that you'll make a big mistake. You'll make a wrong decision. Perhaps you'll make something that will cost the company something. Okay, now here's what I want you to understand. If you're on level number 3 with most of the people, you may fall a little bit. But if you fall, you've got the next level to catch you. Does that make sense? Now, if you are just a positional leader and you've never increased your leadership strength any more than that, and let's say you're on level number 1, when you make a mistake, this is not a good thing. You're now out of the organization. In the United States, when you have to move, you call U-Haul. I tell people in the States, if they're on level number 1, they're one step from U-Haul. The higher you go, the more cushion you have under your leadership. That's why when people that are very good leaders, when they make a mistake, people say, well, how can they survive that? How can they? It's because they've developed levels of leadership under them. But if you haven't been a very good leader and you're just at the bottom and you make a mistake, it's going to be over very, very quickly. So the question I would be asking, here's the questions I would ask for your exercise. Question number 1, what level am I on with most of the people? In other words, find out your average level for if you've got 10 people, if you took all of them and kind of said, this is the average, what level would you be on? The second question would be, who was on each level with me? Put their names beside each level so that you have an idea. You know, these 3 people are on level 1, these 2 people are on level 2. Get their names. Then the third question you ask yourself is, What do I have to do to increase my influence and leadership with them one level? How do I get them from level 1 to level 2? Well, it's very simple. To get them from level 1 to level 2, you've got to develop relationships with them. To get them from level number 2 to level number 3 is you've got to put some wins under their belt. You've got to get success with them, because as they see you become successful, they feel the success and they'll put you on level 3. To get from level number 3 to level number 4, you've got to spend mentoring time with them and personally develop them and equip them and train them to be successful. So let me close with one more thing, and that is there's a 5-step process on level number 4, the people development level. There's a 5-step process of how to train and equip people. Let me give it to you. It's very simple. Step number 1, the first thing I do to equip people is what I call the I do it stage. Very simply, if I'm going to equip you to do something, I have to be able to do it myself. Again, we teach what we know, we reproduce what we are. Too many leaders are like travel agents. They're sending people where they've never gone themselves. You need to be a tour guide leader. Tour guides say, get on the bus. I've lived here all my life. I'm going to show you people and meet people and things that I've experienced all my life. Be a tour guide leader, not a travel agent leader. So level number 1 in equipping people is I do it. Level number 2 is I do it and you are with me. The greatest way to train people is by modeling. The greatest motivational principle in the world is people do what people see. Stanford research says 89% of what you and I know today, we know because we saw someone else do it. We saw it visually first. 89% is visual learning, 10% is audio learning, and 1% is through the other senses. So, I do it is stage 1 of equipping. I do it and you're with me as stage 2. You're watching me. I'm modeling for you. I'm the example. I'm showing you how to do whatever this is I'm training you to do. Step number 3 is you do it and I'm with you. Step number 3 is you do it and I'm with you. Now I'm watching you. You've watched me for a while. You've learned from me. You've asked a lot of questions. Now I'm checking you out to make sure that you do it well. Step number 4 in equipping people is you do it. You do it. In fact, simply here's how this works. You do it. Now, most people think at level 4 that they've equipped somebody. They've gone from I do it, you're with me, you do it, and I'm with you, to you do it. Can I tell you something? You've never equipped somebody until they go to stage 5. Stage 5 is you do it, and someone is with you. That's when you begin to multiply yourself. When you can get to stage 5, level 5, in training and developing and equipping people. I do it, you're with me, you do it, I'm with you, you do it, and someone else is with you. Now you've started to multiply yourself, now you've started to equip yourself. Does this make sense? Okay, all right, look at your neighbor and tell them, I am really learning a lot. Tell them that right now. I am really learning a lot. Look right back at the person who says, I'm really learning a lot, and say, thank God, that's why I brought you. That's why I brought you. Okay. It's 20 minutes after 3. We're going to take a 25-minute break. If you'll come back at 3:45, okay? I'll teach for one more hour. I'll teach to about 4:40, 4:45, okay? Now, here's what we're going to do. Yes, David? Okay, I'm going to go out and sign books. They want me to go out by the book table. I'll go out. If you've got the books, I'll sign the books by the book table. I'll meet you right out there. But let's do it. We got 25 minutes. Go get refreshments. Do whatever you got to do. Listen, at 4:45, please be back in here. Roger, kind of bring them in here. About 20 till, kind of start pulling them in. At 4:45, so I can teach for one more hour. Okay, are you having a good time? Are you having a good time? Okay, let's go take a break. All right. Thanks, man. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. How we doing? Have you got one more session left inside of you? Now, let me just say a couple of things here, because there are a whole bunch of people still out there, and they're going to be coming in for the next 5 minutes, I know. I felt bad because there was a line still for the books, and so what I'll do is when I'm done speaking, I'll go right back out to that table, and if you have not had your book signed, I'll go back out for maybe 15, 20 minutes, and I'll sign before I have to go, because I have to speak somewhere else this evening in here in town. So, but if you didn't get your book signed, if you'll go straight out to that table afterwards, or if you still haven't gotten your books, if you'll get them quickly, I'll do my best to sign them. Okay. Boy, I wish I had time for Q&A so that you could ask questions about things I've taught today. But as I wrap up and I come into my last session for the next 45 minutes, there's so much I want to teach, and there's such a limited amount of time, and so I'm kind of working through what do I want to kind of give you that can really add value and help you. And I think what I want to do is, first of all, I want to say that what I just lectured on, the 5 levels of leadership, the Power Group, it's the group or the Power Events, the group that has sponsored this, they do corporate seminars on the 5 levels of leadership on my material. This is major use throughout the United States. In fact, I just did a major webcast with Microsoft throughout all of America. And if you would be interested in having them come to you and teach for 2 days the 5 levels of leadership, they have a corporate training called Developing the Leader Within You. If you just go out there to wherever their place is and tell them you're interested in corporate events, they'll be glad to give you that information. So I hope that many of you do that. If you want to know more about the 5 levels of leadership, since I didn't have time to really teach all of it that I would have liked to, it's in my book. It's a whole chapter in my book called Developing the Leader Within You. So if you have that book, you can get a little bit more of the, because during the break I was having people say, boy, I'd like to add a little bit more on the 5 levels of leadership and influence. Okay. What I would like to teach now, in fact, I may try, I did so well with this, I may try again here. Now that I know which way to do it, I would like to take, I don't know, not a long time, maybe 10 minutes, and I would like to teach you how to prioritize your life so that you can be very successful in life. Because first of all, let's start here. A lot of people, they ask me if I do any teaching on time management. They'll say, do you have any books on time management? Do you do any teaching on time management? And I always give them the same answer. No, I don't do any teaching on time management, and I have no books on it. And here's why. Time management is an oxymoron. I'm blown away by people who say, well, teach me how to manage my time. First of all, you can't manage your time. It's going to go on whether you like it or not. So I don't teach time management, but when people want to make the best use of their time, I teach priorities. I teach them how to prioritize their life so that they can get the most out of it. I made a statement earlier today that I could tell, I didn't stay there very long, but I could tell it caught your attention. I was talking about my life and talking about that I only do 4 things. And I could tell you were kind of mentally hanging there for a little bit, and you were thinking, first of all, if I can only do 4 things well, the first thing you're thinking is I'm kind of a worthless individual, which I would tell you, yes, I am, and I'm very proud of my worthlessness. In fact, I tell people all the time, I'll say, no, you don't want me, I'm worthless there. No, no. It's amazing how much time you'll free up if you just declare you're worthless. A lot of people get involved in a lot of things because they have an ego bigger than their IQ. Just back off and say, no, I'm not any good at that. You don't want me. Okay. But I told you that I only did 4 things. And when I was talking about only doing 4 things, I can tell you, okay, 4 things. He only does 4 things. In fact, it was interesting. The other day, my wife Margaret and I were having a conversation about the 4 things that I do. And she was telling me, she said, John, I really think you only are good at 3 of them anymore. So I'm getting less and less. I figured this way, you start with 4, you go to 3, 2. When I can do nothing, they just bury me, okay? Many years ago, I'm talking about 1972, when I was working on a business degree, I had this course that taught me the Pareto principle. And it's not my principle, but it's a principle that in 1972 I had in a business course, and I said to myself, I am going to learn this principle because this can change my life. And for 30 plus years, I have learned and lived by the principle I'm about to teach you about priorities. And it's very simple, and if you can get me back on the overhead, let me see if I cannot just kind of put this together for you for a second. On a piece of paper, I want you to do the same thing that I'm doing right now. I want you to have two columns. And those two columns should have headed up priorities and production. Let's start right there. Now, Pareto was the guy that taught what we call the 20-80 principle. Let's look at our priority line first. Pareto would teach you and me that if we have 10 things to do, the first thing we should do is list them according to priorities. Put number 1 as number 1, put number 2 as number 2. The least important of all should be number 10. Now, Pareto says if we prioritize correctly the 10 things that we need to get accomplished, here's what he says. If instead of doing all 10 of those things, we just do the top 2, and on a piece of paper, do exactly like I'm doing. This is a visual teaching. So he says, if we have 10 things to do, but we only do the top 2 of those 10 things, here's what he says. We will get an 80% return of everything that we need to accomplish in our life. Now that's a tremendous visual right there. What he's saying to us is if we have 10 things to do, but we only do the top 2, we don't do the bottom 8. We just do number 1 and number 2. That we will receive an 80% return of everything that we need in our life. Now he goes on to say, let's say we ignore the top 2, and instead of doing the top 2, we do the bottom 8. We do numbers 3 through 10. Here's what Pareto says. If we do the bottom 8, we will only get a 20% return of everything that we want to accomplish in our life. Now, when you just look at the visual that you have on your paper, it's pretty amazing. Here's a person who does 2 things, and they get an 80% return. They get a return 4 times what they've done. Here's a person who does 8 things, and they just get a 1/4 of the return. Now, it's from this visual and from this teaching of Pareto that we say in the States, we have an expression, that is, it's not how hard you work, it's how smart you work. Basically, this is a principle that teaches us choose or lose. You either choose your priorities. If you don't, you'll lose your effectiveness. Pareto basically said it's not doing everything, it's doing the main thing that's going to be the difference in your life. Now, I first learned this principle in 1972. I've taught it thousands of times. I've lived it in my life. And basically the day I did it, I said, okay, John, you're going to very quickly, or as quickly as you possibly can, you're going to find out what you do well, and you're going to stay into your strength zone, and you're not going to do things you don't do well. So from 1972 to about 1982, it took me about 10 years to figure out what I did well. I only do 4 things well. So I only do 4 things. You see, the question is not, will your calendar be full? I'm going to assume all of our calendars are full. We're all busy. Is that true? How many of you are busy? Okay. The question is not, will our calendar be full? The question is, who will fill our calendar? Because the person that fills the calendar is the one who determines the priorities. And so because I understand that, and because I've learned that principle, I only do 4 things, and you say, well, how do I prioritize my life so that I only do 4 things? There are 3 words that I want you to write down. The first word is requirement. Very simply, you've got to ask yourself, what's required of me? In other words, when I prioritize my life, I have to do what I have to do. In other words, there are certain things that are required of me. That's not a choice. It's not an option. I have to do them. If I don't do them, I'm going to get fired. So when you get your priorities together, the first question you ask yourself is, what's required of me? Now, I do that continually. In fact, when I am applying for some kind of new job or new contract or whatever it is, one of the things I do is I sit down and I ask them this very simple question. What do I have to do that no one else can do except me? That's a huge question. In other words, what do I have to do that I have to do? No one else can do it. I can't train somebody to do it. I can't equip somebody to do it. I can't develop somebody to do it. I can't empower somebody to do it. I can't delegate somebody to do it. In other words, I have to do this, because whatever it is that you have to do that you cannot give to someone else, train somebody else, develop someone else to do, whatever that is, you're going to have to do it. So the first thing in settling your priorities is what's required of me. That's the word requirement. The second word is return. What gives me the greatest return? Simply stated, when I do something that I do very well, it brings a huge return back to me. It brings a huge return back to my organization. Now that gets me to the 4 things that I do. Because after 10 years, from 72 to 82, after asking myself, asking people, searching, looking at what I was doing, I came to the conclusion within 10 years that there are 4 things that I should spend my life doing, and I should not spend my life doing anything else but these 4 things. Now, I'm going to give you the 4 things, but they only help you in light of helping you know how to do this. They don't help you in light of the fact these are not going to be your 4 things. In fact, for you, it may be 3 things. It could be 5 things. I don't know. But these 4 things I have looked at, and these are the ones that really that I'm good at. So my 4 are: I lead, I create, I communicate, and I network. Those are the 4 things I do. I'm a very good leader, so I lead. I'm very creative. That's why I'm always writing. I'm just a creative thinker. There's nothing I love more than being by myself with a legal pad and a pen, just thinking thoughts and creating. So I'm good at creating. I'm good at communicating. So I do a lot of communicating. This whole day is set aside basically for me to communicate. And I enjoy meeting friends and networking and trying to put together partnerships. Now, those are the 4 things I do well. I lead, create, communicate, and network. Now, what that means is, those are the 4 things that I do. If you looked on my calendar, you would find that that's all that's on my calendar as far as business is concerned. I'm either spending time creating, or I'm spending time communicating. This has been a day that's been set aside for several months now. This is a day I'm going to be at KL, and I'm going to communicate today. I'm either communicating, creating, leading, or networking. And that's all that's on my calendar. I do nothing else. I'm going to come back to that in just a moment. But let me go back to the 3 R's, because I've only given you 2. And the melancholies are starting to get nervous. They're saying, no, there's another one in there. I know there is. Where's the R word? The R. The first word is requirement, what's required of me. The second word is return, what gives me the highest return. The third R is reward. What is rewarding to me? Because one of the things I've discovered about prioritizing my life correctly is this. If I don't enjoy doing it, I'll stop doing it. Sooner or later, I'll find a way not to do it. Now, what you want to do is you want to get everything lined up so what is required of you and what gives you the greatest return also gives you the greatest reward. Can I tell you how good you can get at this? When what is required of you, what gives you the highest return, and what gives you the greatest reward are the same things, you will be highly successful in life. I guarantee it. Now, let's go down to prioritizing our life, and let's go to a teaching that I think is very important. What I'm about to say is a paradigm shift for you. And your tendency is when I say it, it will be to emotionally disagree. And I just want you to know that's okay. You can do that. You have a right to be wrong. Okay. I'm kidding you. My name's John. I'm your friend. What I'm about to say, though, goes against everything, basically, that we've ever been taught. And the reason I know that is in the States, this is major. What I'm about to teach you for the next 10 minutes has more impact upon probably a mass group of people than anything that I've ever taught. So hang with me, fasten your seatbelts, and listen to me very carefully. Because the statement I'm about to say to you is a little bit different than what you're used to hearing. Let me qualify it. I'm talking now about your skills. Only your skills. Okay? Here's the statement. From this moment on, stop working on your weaknesses. From this moment on, stop working on your weaknesses. Now you say, oh my goodness, John, I'm not even sure I can write that down. What do you mean, stop working on my weaknesses? What I mean is, stop working on your weaknesses. And you say, why should I stop working on my weaknesses? You should stop working on your weaknesses because you are weak in your weaknesses. You're not any good in this area. Now, that's against everything we've been taught. As we were children growing up, our parents were always having us work on our weaknesses. And when we went to school, oh my goodness, when we went to school, if you got an A in math and you got a C in language, what did they tell you to do? They told you to work on what? Your math or language? Talk to me. Language, they'd say, oh my goodness, you got a C in language. Get that C up, get that grade up, get that grade up. How many of you ever had somebody to tell you to work on one of your weaker subjects in school? Come on, raise your hands, let's go on. That's it, look around, you make sure, okay. We all did. Well, work on your weaknesses. Oh, get that C. Can I tell you something? If you got an A in math and you got a C in language, don't work on your language. You know, get on your knees and thank God you got a C. Probably deserved a D. The teacher liked you. Don't work. Now, why did you get an A in math and a C in language? It's very simple. You have your DNA, who you are, you have a bent toward math, not toward language. You're always going to be better than math and language. It isn't because you work harder on one than the other. It's because the very fact is that there are some subjects we're better at than others. Is that not true? Now, what I'm saying to you is don't work on your weaknesses, and here's why. You ought to be up here where I am watching you right now during this lecture. Disbelief is all over your face. Some of you are going to leave here and go straight to a therapist. Let's say that, well, let's put it this way. Let's say from a 1 to a 10, I'm a 2 in something. Now 2 isn't very good. Okay, 2's very weak, okay? For example, I love music. That's the good news. The bad news is I can't sing. And so therefore, if I looked at you and said, I am going to be a great opera singer, Well, now, can I tell you something? I can have a heart to learn. I can go hire tutors, and I can go take music appreciation. I can take voice lessons. But can I tell you something? 2 or 3 years from now, I'm not going to go from a 2 to a 10. I'm going to go from a 2 to a 2.1. Listen carefully. You can only increase your skill level 2 numbers. This is major. You can't go from a 2 to a 10 in skill. Now, I'm only talking about your skills. I'm not talking about your attitude. You can go from a 1 to a 10 in attitude. I've known people have a terrible attitude and change it, and they go to a 10. So you could, I'm not talking about discipline. You can go from a 1 to a 10 in self-discipline. I'm talking about just your skill area. You can only increase your skill level 2 numbers on extreme times. Under unusual circumstances, I've seen people go 3 numbers. I've never seen anybody increase their skill level over 3 numbers. So if I'm a 2 in something, if I work hard on my weaknesses, I could become a 3. Hello. If I work hard, really work hard, and spend a lot of time, I could maybe become a 4. Let me tell you something about 4s. They're below average. And let me tell you something else. People don't pay for average. So why is everybody in love with it? People don't pay for average. I don't pay for average. You don't pay for average. Certainly you don't go to your spouse, if you've worked hard all day, certainly you don't go to your spouse and say, sweetheart, we've worked all really hard today. We're kind of tired. I'll tell you what, let's do. This would be fun. Let's go to an average restaurant. Oh, boy. Do you think in KL we could find an average restaurant? Wouldn't it be something if we could go to an average restaurant tonight and have some average food? Oh, yes. Oh, let's do it. So you don't get in your car and drive down the street looking for the average restaurant. Finally you think, oh, I think that one's average. Nobody's there. And you pull in the average restaurant, you pull up right by the door. You get a park by the door at average restaurants. And you go in, and the hostess is there to seat you, and she gets ready to take you to a seat. And say, oh, excuse me, before you take us to a seat. Do you have an average table? Now, I know that one table there, it's got the big mirror, or big glass window out there, and you overlook the water, and oh my, that's really awesome, and we don't want that table. No. We'd like to have an average table. Do you have a table where nobody has sat today? And when she escorts you to the average table, you don't sit down and say, excuse me, one more favor. Thank you. First of all, thank you for the average table. This is really average. Thank you. So, oh yes. Do you have an average waiter? Now, we don't want your best waiter. No. Oh, we don't want one of those waiters that comes and takes the order without writing anything down and memorizes the order and memorizes our name and is prompt and brings us our food on time. No. Do you have a waiter that will come and take the order and then mess it up when they take it to the kitchen and bring the wrong food out and say, excuse me, and it'll be another 45 minutes. Can we have one of those waiters? And when the average waiter comes to the average table at the average restaurant, you don't look at them and they start to tell you what their specialty is. And so, no, you don't understand. We don't want to know what you're good at. No. Do you have any average food back there? Let me ask you it this way. Do you have any food back there that nobody's ordered today? No, you don't go to an average table at an average restaurant, ask for an average waiter and get average food, and walk out of there an hour and a half later and say, wow, we got to do this again. No. People don't pay for average. But if you work on your weaknesses, listen to me carefully, if you work on your weaknesses, you will at best become average. You will never distinguish yourself. You will never set yourself apart. You will never become a person of excellence. You'll never have people standing in line to see you, to hear you, to buy something from you. You'll never have anybody drive by your store drive by someone else's store to get to your store. You see, if you're average, you're just average. And average people will not be successful. They will not help a lot of people, and they will not make a lot. Average is average. And if you work on your weaknesses, you are going to be average all of your life. But let's just turn it around for a second. Let's say from a 1 to a 10, let's say you're a 7. You're already above average. You're already a little bit of, this is kind of in your strength zone. This is what you're good at. This is what you do that gives you a good, let's say you're a 7. Now let me tell you something. If you're a 7 and you start getting a tutor, or you get a mentor, or you get somebody around you, you could go to be an 8. And whoa, if you go to a Maxwell seminar, you could become a 9. People stand in line for 9s. Oh my goodness. When you're a 9, you're excellent. You've set yourself apart from everyone else. People wait in line for 9s. They pay extra money for 9s. They listen extra carefully to 9s because now you're in your strength zone, and what you do, you really do well. You're really good at what you do. I was speaking to a couple hundred presidents. This was another, I told you earlier about a CEO day, and I was telling those CEOs to work on to go back and tell people what they're not good at. Well, this was another President's Day with another group of presidents of companies, and I was teaching them all during the day through this whole process, and I was telling them to quit working on their weaknesses, but I was also telling them to not let their people work on their weaknesses. And we were doing a Q&A because there were only a couple hundred of them there, and they began to push back, and one guy especially began to push back. He said, John, this really bothers me that you say we shouldn't work on our weaknesses. He said, all my life I've worked on my weaknesses. I try to get, he said, this really bothers me. I said, that's okay. It's good to be bothered. It's okay. Take a pill. You'll be okay. And he began to push back. He said, now let's just take, for example, Tiger Woods. He said, Tiger Woods, when he plays a round of golf and he hasn't played a good round, he immediately, when he's done playing that round of golf, he heads over to the practice range, and maybe for the next 2 hours, Tiger Woods will hit golf balls. And he said, now that's a perfect example, John, of working on your weaknesses. I said, no, it's not. It's a perfect example of working on your strengths. In case you don't realize it, Tiger Woods is the best golfer in the world. Hello? When he's working on his golf swing, he's working in his strength zone. He gets millions of dollars for that swing. I said, let me give you the difference. When I finish playing a round of golf, I go to the practice range, and I practice. But because I'm not a good golfer, I'm in my weak zone. For me, practice doesn't make perfect. Practice makes permanent. The more I practice on my weakness, the more I consistently am bad. I've got those bad swings perfected after a while. I can do that bad swing every time. You say, he is the most consistent bad swinger I've ever seen in my life. That ball every time just goes right. It's not a slice, it's a boomerang. It comes right back to him. In fact, I was playing golf with a guy one time, and he was a good golfer, and I'm not a good golfer, and I'm sitting there and I'm saying, oh, talk to me. What's wrong with my swing? And he looked at me, he really encouraged me. He said, I've been watching you for a couple holes. And he said, I think you've only got one problem. I thought, oh, this is good. I can fix one problem. Hello? I said, what is it? Come on, talk to me. What's my problem? He says, you're too close to the ball after you hit it. It's the only problem I had. Now, can I tell you something? I could go to the golf course every day, take lessons every day, and never make a living out of playing golf. It's my weakness. In fact, when I play golf with guys and they're not very good, they get real frustrated. I say, oh, don't get frustrated. You could be doing this for a living. Relax, enjoy yourself. One of my favorite golf stories, one of my favorite golf stories is these two guys who get up to the tee and they're not any good in golf at all. They're terrible golfers. I mean, they're terrible. I mean, they're really terrible golfers. I mean, in their golf bags, they have things like a weed eater. So when they get in the weeds, they can chop them down so they can find their ball. This one guy, he gets up and tees it up, and he swings, and much to his surprise, the ball goes right down the middle. He's so excited. He has never seen his ball in the fairway. In fact, he's never seen his ball after he hit it. He's so excited. He looks at his buddy. He says, look at this. Look at me. I'm down the middle of the fairway. They're walking down the fairway. He's so excited. He said, I've never been in the fairway ball. I've never seen my ball after I've hit it before. This is really good. And he gets up there about 200 yards out, and the ball is not only in the middle of the fairway, but it has rolled up on a 4-inch anthill. It's in the middle of the fairway. It's teed up for him. He grabs his 3-wood, says, this is my day. I'm going to hit the ball on the green in regulation. I've never been in the green in 2. Swings as hard as he can, and he misses the whole ball. And kills 5,000 ants. Miracle of miracles, the ball, instead of being on a 4-inch anthill, is now on a 2-inch anthill. It stayed on top of the anthill. It's still teed up for him. He said, oh, this is my second chance. Grabs the 3-wood, swings as hard as he can. He misses the whole ball again and kills 4,998 more ants. 2 ants are left. One ant says to the other, I don't know about you, but if we're going to survive, we had better get on the ball. Now what I've discovered is that people that are successful, they get into their strength zone. They start at something they're already decent at, and they get much better. So go to your strength zone, not your weak zone. Does that make sense? Tell the person you're sitting beside, say, that makes sense to me. Go ahead and tell them that, right? I said, that makes sense to me. And look right back at him and say, by the way, you're no Tiger Woods either. Now, what I've discovered is people, now watch this. Watch this. People that are highly successful have found their strength zone. And every day, remember I said that earlier this morning, the secret of your success is determined by your daily agenda. Every day, these people are in their sweet spot. Every day, they're doing what they do well. I'm known for speaking and communicating. I'm not known for singing. Not one of you came to this seminar today and said, boy, what I really hope is John Maxwell breaks forth in song today. Wouldn't it be something if he'd start singing any time now? No, you don't want to hear me sing. I'm not any good. You didn't pay to hear me sing. No. I'd have to pay you to hear me sing. And let me tell you something. When you are in your strength zone, when you are in your sweet spot, it's easy. It's not easy like you didn't have to work for it. But you see, when I'm here talking to you today, I'm as relaxed if I were over in the corner talking to you one-on-one. I'm not nervous. I'm not kind of tense or anything like that. I'm just here drinking my water and eating my cough drops and talking to you because we're friends. We've been doing this all day together. And one of the things I've discovered is that when you're in your strength zone, you wonder why everybody else can't do it as well as you can. You just sit there and you say, my goodness, this is easy. It's because it's in your strength. So find your sweet spot. Find it and stay there. For example, communication is one of my strengths, and my wife Margaret, once in a while, some group will ask her to, because of they'll say, boy, if your husband speaks, you probably speak. And they'll say, would you come and speak at our banquet? And every once in a while, Margaret does something stupid and says yes. And I hate it when she says yes. You know why I hate it when she says yes? Because I know what she's going to do. She's going to come to me and say, John, I got to go speak for this banquet. And then she's going to ask me, first thing she's going to ask me, what should I say? Can I tell you something? If you don't know what to say, it's not your strength zone. And I look at her and I say, oh, Margaret, honey, that's not that complicated. And, well, she'll say, give me a subject. What should I talk on? I said, well, why don't you wait till you get there? What do you mean? What do you mean? Wait till I get there? I said, well, they're going to have a banquet, and their people are going to go before you, and they're going to say things, and just kind of listen to what they say and teach principles off of what they say. Just kind of hang loose until you get done, and then until they're all done, then get up and speak. She hates that answer. Why? It's not her strength zone. Now, I'm not picking on her, because my wife is incredible in decorating. She is unbelievable. Colors, fabric. You ought to see our house. You ought to pay for our house. That's a new one. Just a second. I want to write that one down. It feels so good when you get a new idea. It doesn't come on. I had a new idea in 1989 and I didn't write it down. And oh, it's incredible. She colors. I mean, I'm not colorblind, but I'm worthless. I mean, I can't figure out what matches. I have been known to go in my closet at the house and stand there for 15 minutes trying to figure out what to wear. I'm just kind of, yeah. And finally Margaret said, John, are you in the closet again? She comes and I'm just staring. I got little slobbers coming down my face. And she'll say, oh, here, I'll get it for you. So the first thing she does is she makes me get out of the closet, which is very humiliating. So now I'm standing out in the hallway, and she says, okay, what are you going to do? And I said, well, I'm going to go speak at a conference day at Cal. So she pulls off the stuff, and she gives it to me and says, here, now, wear this. You'll look good. So I think, thank you, babe, thank you. Now, what I do, because I'm not good at this, I'm smart. It's like if she picks out like a sweater and slacks for me, a lot of times when I'm done, I'll put them back on the same hanger. And I know that matches. And maybe a week later, I'll kind of go in there and I'll say, I can do this. And I pull off the sweater and the slacks and the shirt that she'd picked out a week before, and I'll put them on, and I'll come walking out, and she'll look at me and she'll say, are you going to wear that again? Kind of thought I would. Oh, she said, John, don't do that. You wore that last week. People will see you that. No. And she goes in and she'll switch sweaters on me or switch slacks on me. And she does what she calls mixes and matches, which is another word to say that she likes to keep me in a constant state of confusion. Because I can't figure it out. Now she's mixing and matching, and I'm all mixed up, and I can't match anything. And once in a while, I'll have to get up real early for appointments. And so I'll get in the closet and I'll think, well, I forgot, because usually at night she fixes it out for me next morning. And I'll say, oh, I forgot to ask her, so I don't want to wake her up. So I'll go in and I'll pick out my own outfit. And then I'll come back maybe in the middle of the day and I'll walk in the house and she'll look at me and she'll look at me and say, John, did you wear that? And I'll look at her and say, no, honey, this is a mirage. I'm buck naked in front of you. Did I wear that? Of course I wore that. I mean, it's on me. That's a hint that I wore that. And then the next question, she'll look at me and she'll say, who saw you? I'll say, well, I was on CNN this morning. Now, you see, she's amazed. She's amazed that I can't pick out my clothes. I'm amazed that she can't speak. See, one's her strength zone, one's my strength zone. And one of the greatest days in your life is when you understand that other people have different strengths than you. And let me tell you something. A successful person has found their strength zone. A successful leader has helped others find their strength zone. That's what makes the difference between a successful individual and a successful leader. What does a successful leader do? A successful leader is continually helping people find what they do best, and he or she is putting them in that position because he is setting them up, or she as a leader is setting them up for success. And you set a person up for success by helping them find what they're good at. You don't set people up by having them find their weaknesses. Here's the way it works. I have a degree in counseling, but I'm a terrible counselor. I said, you don't want to come to me for counseling, because I'm one of these kind of people. If you come to me and you got a problem, I'll listen to you for about 5 minutes, and then I'll give you a 3-step plan on how to fix it. And people come in for counseling, I'd listen to them, and I'd give them 3 steps, tear off the sheet of paper, and say, be healed. And they'd come back next month with another problem. And I'll say, didn't we fix the one last month? And it just took me a long time to realize there are some people, their spiritual gift is finding problems. And I have no mercy at all. In fact, I have no mercy. In fact, when I gave up counseling and I told people I wouldn't do any counseling anymore, they began to clap and applaud and said, oh, thank God. Woo, that's good. He won't be counseling. See, when you counsel with people, you work on their weaknesses. When you equip people, you work on their strengths. My life was changed radically the day I quit counseling people and started equipping people. When I realized that the greatest way to help people is to not stay on their weaknesses. And by the way, I'm pro-counseling. I'm not anti-counseling, so don't be offended. If you're a counselor, I'll probably be to you before the day's over. But the day that I realized the greatest way to help people is to help them find their strengths, that was the day that I was able to really help people. Now, I have 8 more minutes. So if it's okay, for the 8 minutes I have left, I would like to give you 3 hours of lecture. First of all, before I give you more, are you learning something? Let me ask you a question. All this stuff you've been writing, have you been taking notes today? You've been taking notes all day, haven't you, huh? In fact, just show the person you're beside you. Show them your notes right now. Just show them those notes. Just put it in their face right now. Just put that in their face. In fact, show them their notes and ask them why they haven't taken as good a notes as you have today, huh? Absolutely. In fact, tell them the notes you've been taking aren't for you, it's for them, and they need to read those things. Okay, now. And what I want you to do is not only take notes, I want you to do something with it. Isn't that true? Okay, in other words, start applying this stuff. So let me make a couple of leadership statements. These are mainly from my 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. I want to make 2. I'm going to make 2 leadership. I'm going to just teach 2 leadership laws, and then I'm done. Well, no, I'm not really done. When I'm done here, I'll go out to that book then, and if you brought books and you haven't had them signed yet, I'll sign until you get your book signed, okay? Is that fair enough? Okay, here we go. The reason I have such a passion to teach people how to lead, and the reason that I travel internationally and do all this stuff, is not because I need a job or because I want to get on a plane or I need to see another country. It's because I know what happens when a person learns to lead. And in the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, the first law of leadership is the law of the lid, L-I-D. And the law of the lid says that your leadership level will determine your success. In other words, how well you lead will determine how successful you become. Now, after you finish writing that down, I'm going to visually take a moment and I'm going to just explain that to you. In fact, that's one of the reasons why I'm so excited about what the organization is that brought us here. And again, I want to share with you, if you want to learn leadership, go to them for corporate training. They'll sit down and they'll teach these principles. Now watch this principle. This is huge. This is a visual. If this left hand represents how well John Maxwell leads and this right hand represents my business, here's what I know about my business. My business will grow up to, but not go any higher than the lid of my leadership. In fact, my leadership ability will put a lid upon my potential and upon my success. I cannot grow my organization better or bigger than I can lead. Oh my goodness. In the history of mankind, no company, no business has ever kept growing beyond the level of its leaders and just kept flourishing and kept being successful when the leaders were down here. No. Leadership is always the lid on the growth of your company. Leadership is always the lid in the success of your life. And what I am basically is I am a lid lifter. I go around and I teach people how to lift their lid, how to get better. Because, for example, if you're from a 1 to a 10, you're a 4 as a leader. What that means is your company's going to be a 3. Can I tell you something? Your company's going to not be a 6. It's not going to be a 7. It's not going to be an 8. This is not a baffling exercise. If you're a 4 as a leader, you're literally going to control, contain, and keep your company from getting any higher than a 4. It cannot rise above the level of your leadership. And I hate this illustration. It hurts my hand every time I do that thing. Now here's the good news. You can grow as a leader. You can go from a 4 to a 5 to a 6. And all of a sudden your company now has room to grow from a 3 to a 4 to a 5, maybe a 6. So how do you grow your company? How do you become more successful? You grow your company, you grow your business, you build your department, you develop people by your ability to lead people successfully. Everything rises and falls on leadership. Always has, always will. Between 1982 and 1992, I had a mentor in San Diego, California by the name of Don Stevenson. Don was the president of Global Hospitality. This was a company that bought bankrupt resorts out. Resorts that were going under, they would buy them at a very cheap price because they were going bankrupt. Then they would go in and train the people and turn the company around and sell them at a high price. That's how Global Hospitality made a lot of money. And Don Stevenson was the president of Global Hospitality, and he made a lot of money. And for 10 years, he was my mentor. And every month, I would take him out to that 2-hour lunch, and he would eat, and I would ask questions. One day, we're up in La Jolla, and we're having our lunch, and I said, okay, Don, here's my question for the day. When you buy a bankrupt company, is there something that you always do? I mean, it's automatic. You buy the company, it's in trouble. Are there some things that you just automatically do because you know you need to do them to turn the company around? And he looked at me. I can still remember. He's eating his salad. He looks up at me. He says, yes, John. He says, every bankrupt company we buy, we always do 2 things. And when he said we always do 2 things, man, I've got my pen ready because he's ready to drop gold on me. And I know, I go, okay, give it to me, baby, give it to me. You know, what 2 things do you always do? And they said the first thing we do is we go in and we retrain all the employees in relationship skills. He said, we take everybody that's part of that company and we teach them people skills. We teach them how to win with people. And he said, the reason we teach them people skills is, he said, statistics tell you that when people don't come back to a resort, 79% of the time it's because they weren't treated properly by the employees of the organization. Somebody didn't take good care of them. The waitress didn't. I mean, somebody, and so therefore they just don't come back because the service wasn't good. And so he said, the first thing we do is, he said, we just do thorough relationship training in the company. So I'm sitting with my legal pad and I'm writing that down. I'm saying to myself, okay, Maxwell, with your companies, start really giving them good relationship skills. Help them to know how to get along with people. I said, okay, I got that one, Don. What's the second thing you do every time you buy out a bankrupt company? He's eating his salad. He doesn't even look at me. He said, the second thing we always do is we always fire the president. I said, what'd you say? We always fire the president. I said, what do you mean you always fire the president? He's not looking up. He's just eating a salad. He said, John, I've told you, we always fire the president. I said, always? He said, always. In fact, he said, we don't even meet him. He said, we buy the company. He said, we send a courier to their office, basically give them a severance pay, tell them they're fired, get out of the office today. We don't want them to ever come back. Fired. I said, you don't go see them? You don't sit down in the office, put a fire in the fireplace, hold hands? No, he said, we always fire the president. Well, now he's frustrated because I'm not writing this down. And he just stops eating his salad, leans forward to the table, and he looks at me and says, John, if the president was good, the company wouldn't be going bankrupt. Okay. Always fire the president. What was he saying? It's very simple. He's saying everything rises and falls on leadership. He was saying the law of the lid tells you how big your company is going to become is not how much money you have. It is not what your location is. It's how good of leaders you have in your organization. That's why the best leaders have more than one good leader. They have several good leaders. In fact, they have a leadership culture in that organization. It's called the law of the lid. One more law, and I close with this. The law of process. The law of process says leaders develop daily, not in a day. In other words, if you want to be a great leader, it takes time. It's a process. You don't become a leader because you came to this conference today. You don't become a leader after you've read one leadership book. You don't become a leader when you just hang with a leader for a weekend. No, it's a process. It takes time. What I have discovered is many people, they want to become what I call instant leaders. Do you have microwaves in Malaysia? Do you have, let me ask you, do you have crock pots? Oh, okay. You see what I've discovered? In the States, this isn't a problem in Malaysia. This is a problem in the States. This isn't your problem. In the States, we try to microwave leaders. Yeah, we grab them. We say, I want you to be a leader. And we stick them in the microwave and push a couple buttons and pull them out and say, you're a leader? No, they're not a leader. They've been microwaved. That's why we have so many Pop-Tart leaders. You don't microwave leaders. If you want to develop leaders, you crock pot leaders. You put them in the crock pot and let them simmer and marinate. It takes a while to develop leaders. When I did the interview today at noon with the reporters, they asked me a question that I'm always asked at every leadership conference if I let people ask questions. It's a question they ask no matter what country I'm in, no matter where I am. They raise their hand and they say, John, the question I have, are leaders born? And whenever they ask me, are leaders born, I always give them the same answer. Of course they are. Think about that question. I've never met an unborn leader. Don't particularly want to either. Thank you very much. You see, when they ask me, are leaders born, what they're really asking are there some people they got it, and some people when they're born they don't got it, and if you got it, you go to the front of the line. I guess if you don't got it, you get in the back of the line and hope there's a drinking fountain at the end of the line. Now, there are people without any question that have leadership leanings, just like I talked to you about the math and the language. No question about that. But what I have discovered and what I taught in my book, Developing the Leader Within You, and the book, Developing the Leaders Around You, is you can train and teach people how to be a leader. So I close with this statement and this story. there were some tourists in an old European village. I mean, it was an old village. Nostalgia. And the tourists were just looking at the buildings and thinking about the history and thinking about all the people who have over the centuries lived in that village. And one of the tourists saw an old man sitting at a bench, and so he went over and sat beside him and said, "Have you lived here?" And the old man said, "Yeah." He said, "I've lived here all my life." Oh, he said, "Good. I have a question to ask you." What's the question? Have any great men been born here? And the old man said, "No, only babies." Only babies. And when they asked me about Malaysia and asked me why I went there, and they said, "Well, are there great men and women being born in Malaysia?" I said, No, just babies. But babies who have tremendous potential. Because as I look at you and I've talked to you today, seldom have I talked to people that I felt had greater potential to be great leaders than the people in this room. But it's a process. Pay the price. Be patient. Stay away from the microwave. And become the leader that you can become. It's best for your country. It's best for your business. It's best for your community. And it's best for your family. I hope you've learned something, because I've had a wonderful time talking to you today. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Roger's going to come. You've been wonderful. He's going to close it. I'm going to go out there and sign some books. Blessings. I hope to come back. If I come back, will you come and see me again? We'll talk some more. Thank you very much. Thank you, Roger.
Please give Dr. Maxwell another round of applause.